Let's talk about ticket prices because I'm becoming increasingly upset with the current state of the music industry and how much everything costs. Tickets at the minute are at an all-time high. We've seen this in the UK with countless examples recently. Speak about Oasis, their tickets were hitting upwards of £200-300 when you included the Ticketmaster fees. But it's not just like mega bands like Oasis. We're seeing it more and more with smaller acts. And I've got the perfect example of this for you. And when I researched this earlier, it actually really upset me. Sam Fender tickets have just gone on sale. So I got a Sam Fender ticket at Leeds Arena and it cost me, including fees, £78.63. And that's with no Ticketmaster premium. It's not increased. That's just the standard fee and the usual booking fees that you have. However, a couple years ago, in 2019, I saw Sam Fender at Leeds Arena, and for 2 tickets, including fees, standing tickets, so the same venue, the same area of that venue, for the same artist, it was £71.50 for 2 tickets.
Fucking hell.
So, in effect, that means in 5 years, the cost to see Sam Fender has gone up 120%.
Woo-hoo-hoo. For what?
Where has that come from?
For what?
And it's not just him, it's practically every artist, but 120% is actually just not even normal. And I thought maybe it's inflation. Inflation's been pretty high in the UK for the last few years. So I went on the government inflation calculator, right? This is how much this was angering me.
Bro has done his maths.
I took my £35.75 that it cost me to see Sam Fender in 2019, put it in, and it said in today's money, that would be £44.81. So I appreciate he's grown in size. He's now got 2 number 1 albums instead of 1 number 1 album. But where's the other 30 quid coming from? Like £30. That's a lot. For most people, that's what, 2.5 hours of working? If you're on minimum wage, that's the shopping you're going to get for the week. I just don't understand it.
There's a lot of bands that are in that realm of charging ridiculous prices now. For example, I had tickets to go see Childish Gambino, who's unfortunately cancelled now. But that was upwards of £140 per ticket for seating. Now, usually standing is, you know, around the same price. But standing, I think, was still around £100. And then when we got refunded for those tickets, I was able to buy 2 tickets for, it was Busted and McFly and Parkway Drive, for the price of that 1 single ticket. And in my head, I'm going, oh, I've got a bargain there if I can get 2 tickets for that price. Realistically, I should have been getting 4 tickets for that price, not 2.
And what you just said there brings me on to my next point of, I feel like this level of ticket pricing has started to have been normalised by regular gig goers. Like, most people would see now pretty much 80 quid for Sam Fender at Leeds Arena and go, oh, that's not actually that bad, because it's not the 150 for Oasis, it's not the 100 plus for The Weeknd, it's not the whoever you want to go see. But they are not normal prices, and the price bin at that level is completely stopping the lower class or poorer people going to gigs, full stop. And I think, especially in my childhood, and for a lot of people I know, going to a concert was a good experience. It was a way to kind of see something, see an art form, give you some inspiration that you didn't get in other avenues of life. And the fact that that's starting to have been limited to only people with money, and I say like middle class or upper class, but realistically, at least in the UK, the middle class has just been wiped out, like as a country anyway. So it's pretty much only like the wealthy now that can afford to go to concerts.
Yes, so when I first went to a Bowling for Soup concert, which was one of my first concerts, the ticket was just shy of £20, which for a band who back then are arguably bigger than they are now, nowadays you're talking 50 plus to go and see them. It doesn't really make that much sense.
But I think that this issue with money in music stems deeper than just ticket prices. But we also see it now. I think it's much more difficult for young people to pursue a career in music or any art, whether it be theatre, acting, music, actual artwork, painting, drawing. The lack of funding from the government has meant, again, the actual ability to become any type of artist is generally limited to wealthy people. You may say, oh, well, it's way easier for people to publish the music now. Yeah, there's Spotify, there's Apple Music, there's streaming services. You can get on there pretty easily. But you can't make money on there very easily. Even if you're an artist with 100,000 monthly listeners, which seems like a hell of a lot of people, you're probably still not making enough to actually go out and, you know, get a house, live a reasonable life. You're going to have to be working a second job, etc. So the barrier for entry has been raised. And if you do manage to break that barrier down, which is a rare occasion, you're still going to struggle. Like, you're going to struggle to feed your family. And then I feel like those people that have a creative mindset or want to get involved in some kind of art form will just be pushed away from it, or pushed into something completely mindless where they're just doing production for a massive band. They just, you know, maybe they go on tour with really big bands and make enough to live for 2 months. I don't know. It just really angers me.
Yeah, gigs back in the day, when you used to go to a gig when you were younger, that was like a formative experience. And sometimes that would then turn people into wanting to become the band that was playing on the stage. So you would go and see maybe 2 or 3 gigs every couple of months because you could afford it. You know, it was 15 quid a ticket for some bands. And then you would have to kind of put money aside to get that one big act that you really wanted to see, you know, your massive headline acts that come touring. And then you're only talking about 70 or 80 quid a ticket. Nowadays, the norm is now 70 or 80 quid a ticket. So if you are somebody who couldn't afford those in the past and had to save up, you now have to save up for what I would class as mid-tier acts that should be a lot lower. And you can only go and see one of those every 3 or 4 months. In the past, you could see 3 or 4 of them every couple of months and not be breaking the bank. Now you have to kind of, you know, think about who you want to see rather than going, oh, this band's touring this, I'm going to get these 3 tickets. You can't, it's not even feasible to do.
And I think that's coming from us as well. We're in a pretty lucky position. You know, we're sat here with a podcast set up and we're living calmly. We don't have issues. We're not particularly lower class. We're not poor. Imagine if you actually didn't have any spare money for entertainment. And this is where it comes back to, as a kid then, if you're a child growing up in a poorer family, your only form of entertainment now is not going to be live shows. It's not going to be experiences that make you think, where you have to actually sit and take something in for a long time. And that goes to like theatre as well, because I think that that's quite an interesting thing and something that a lot of kids would enjoy. But now it's just like TikTok, and that's free. And that makes the same companies a load more money, but it's not a visceral experience. It's not... Like, humans have enjoyed live shows for thousands of years. We can take this all the way back to like the Romans, right? Forever. And even in our parents' generation and their generation, when there's been wars going on, when there's been anything happening in the world, there's always been accessible live entertainment. And this has probably been an issue then as well, where, you know, some people couldn't afford certain shows. But I feel like now the greed of corporations like Ticketmaster and Spotify, etc., have made it so that it's more difficult than I've ever seen in my life to enjoy those experiences.
It's the greed of those corporations, and it's also kind of on the side of world governments by not putting something in place that stops them from charging these inflated prices. Now, we saw with the Oasis tickets, which we touched on earlier, that the government did an inquiry into it to see how they were doing this price gouging, you know, whether it was legal. I don't know what came of that. I don't know if that investigation's still going on. But in the back of my mind, all I could think was Oasis charging so much and having so many fees was kind of a good thing, because it drew eyes towards that industry that previously maybe people didn't really care about. But when you had politicians attempting to get tickets and even they couldn't get it, or were getting priced out and thought, I can't pay that much, that's ridiculous, they then started to think, oh, this is affecting me, so I should look into it. But because art forms aren't particularly, you know, something that I imagine many politicians are massively into, I could be wrong there, they don't really care, so they kind of just let it go unchecked, and the prices just kept going up and up and up, and we're still seeing them go up today. And I think something needs to come in, some form of legislation to say, look, here's your cap, figure out the price per venue, figure out something, some kind of crazy math tax, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Figure something out that means that there is a set limit as to how much you can charge for the amount of people there. Maybe if you've got a more stacked show, like you had like 4 or 5 bands, I could understand the justification for a £100 ticket, because you're having to pay for all of the bands that are there. But when it's one band with maybe 1 or 2 support that are infinitely smaller than the main band, they're just some local country band or something like that, there is no way in hell you can be charging the price that would be essentially a day ticket to a festival where you've got tens, even hundreds of acts there. It just doesn't make sense. It does not add up.
And I think one of the saddest things about this for me is I'm of the hope and slight belief that this actually isn't the artists. I don't think this increase in ticket pricing will benefit the majority of artists. There may be a few that tour and that, you know, do make a little bit more money now, but I think that this is just benefiting arena owners, venue owners, ticket companies, and everyone, record labels, management. I don't think artists are better off now. And I think there needs to be something that comes in, whether it be from music fans, from the government, from artists, or, to be honest, a combination of all three, that really starts to question what's going on. Because no normal people, even artists, most of which start off as normal people, no one is benefiting. Like, no one's winning from this. It's not helping any aspect of the industry other than the already rich people.
The other thing that kind of affects people being able to go to gigs is the fucking prices of everything when you're there. Beers, you know, you're talking 1 pint in a smaller venue being £5 upwards. It's absolutely extortionate.
£8 upwards.
You go to somewhere like an arena, though, then you're talking like £10 upwards. And you think, how can anybody come here to like have a good time? You want to have a couple of drinks with your mates, you know, a couple of beers. You can't. You've paid £150 for this ticket. You're then paying 50 plus just to get some food, just to get some drinks. You don't want much, but you're then paying an extra 50, so that's £200. Now, dare I say you want to get some fucking merchandise? Good Lord, I saw a hoodie the other day at a gig, £85. £85 for a fucking hoodie. And I can't imagine it's any better than Fruit of the Loom. Just something printed on Fruit of the Loom, basic hoodie or a basic t-shirt for £50. It's absolutely extortionate. You can get genuine merchandise from bigger artists for around £30 or £40 on their website. Why, when they come to you in person for the, you know, the benefit of it being there when you're there, why does it then get almost 100% inflation on top? It just doesn't make sense. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's disgusting. And as you say, everything comes into it because you think, all right, let's say Sam Fender's ticket's going up 120%. Let's say you can somehow justify that. So that's gone up 120%. You spend probably 20 quid getting to parking there, getting public transport, the arena. You spend another 30 quid on food and drinks. If you're a family, if there's multiple of you, whoa, you're talking like, let's say if it's a mum and a dad and 2 kids, you're talking like nearly probably £1,000 day out by the time it's over, especially if you're traveling from a different city, which a lot of people do for a big arena concert. It is mental, and it is stopping people from enjoying music. And then, even when you're there, people in the back of the mind subconsciously are going to be thinking, was it worth it? Like, I'm not going to be able to afford all these other things this month. People might actually be stopping themselves going on holiday, etc., in order to go to a concert. That shouldn't even be a question.
People might be stopping themselves from buying that week's worth of shopping if it's a band that they really like, because there is some people out there that love a band so much that they will put themselves out. They may even go into debt. They may even do something like Klarna or one of those kind of, you know, those loan agencies, which is so predatory in itself anyway. And these higher prices are just basically teaming up with these companies to say, oh, don't worry, because you can pay it over 6 months and there'll be like 2,000% interest on your payments. So don't worry about it. You'll be able to go, but you'll be skint for the rest of your life.
Well, it's ridiculous. I have nothing more to say on this. I just wanted to get my anger out. I felt like this is something that I regularly think about, but that 120% increase in 5 years just disgusted me. And I want to say at the end of this video, I'm not singling out Sam Fender. I still bought the ticket, right? And that's the problem, though. I'm not happy with the fact that it cost me that much, but I feel like people need to start talking about it and some kind of action needs to be taken.
Do you know what we all need to do? We all need to stop fucking supporting Ticketmaster. When an artist puts tickets on Ticketmaster, tell them to fuck off. If they go on Ticket Tech, if they go on any of those other ones, the fees are so much less. The prices are so much less. You pay for what there is. There's no extra hidden fees at the end. There's no insurance. There's none of that bollocks. Ticketmaster, fuck them.
I also want to shout out to artists. Look at The Cure. Is it Robert Smith in The Cure? Look at his stance on it and how he stopped Ticketmaster from adding fees, from adding any extra things. If he can do it, you can do it. Do it. Help your fans, help the industry.
If you enjoyed this little bit of a rant, we do go on these kind of rants every now and again. We're mostly in the realm of reviewing at the moment, so there's plenty of reviews to check out on our channel about new music. Everything you could possibly want. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thank you very much.